Okay, I think we can start.
Yes, sir. Good morning, participant professors from various engineering colleges and universities from India. Good morning, sir. Dr. Pabla, sir. Good morning, sir. Very good morning.
Very good morning.
It's a very great pleasure for me to introduce our today's guest speaker, Professor BS Pabla from NITTR, Chandigarh. Now I brief about our guest speaker's profile now. Professor Dr. BS Pabla is an experienced academician with 34 years of experience in academic and 5 years in industry. Pabla sir used to handle UG and PG in mechanical engineering. Did his UG and PG in mechanical engineering from Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh, and done his PhD from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Sir has worked as principal, Chandigarh College of Engineering and Technology, Chandigarh, from August 2007 to September 2010. And Sir also worked as Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Sir has worked as Dean Extension Service and Consultancy for NITTR, Chandigarh. Presently, Sir is holding a position of Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department at NITTR, Chandigarh. Active member of National Board of Vocational Educations. Sir has served for 5 years industrial experience with DCM Engineering Products and Swaraj Mazda Limited before joining NITTR, Chandigarh. As an industrial experience, Sir has authorized 5 books, CNC machines published by Willie Easton Limited. Now it is New Age Publishers. The other book named Estimating Costing for Metal Manufacturing Industries, published by Marcel Decker Incorporation, New York. The other one, Biomanufacturing, published by Springer Natures, Switzerland. Another book, Advances in Material Science and Engineering by Springer Nature, Switzerland. The other book is Production Engineering, Estimating and Costing by Konark Publishers. These are the very 5 popular books and is being used for learning at diploma, UG and PG levels. Sir has guided around 10 PhD students and most of the students got awarded, and more than 175 students got their ME master thesis work. Sir has filed 2 patents. Sir was awarded by Eminent Engineering Personality of the Year 2014 by the Institution of India, Haryana State Centre. And Sir was a member for ASME, Institute of Engineers, Indian Society of Technical Educations, Indian Value Engineering Society. Sir has more than 150 publications in national and international journals. Professor has involved in national level bodies like AICTE, NBA, National Board of Accreditations, NPIU, NBBE. Sir was a chairman, member of National Board of Accreditation team for accreditation of technical institutions. Professor is expertise in outcome-based engineering educations, visited universities and organizations in Canada, USA, UK for presenting research papers and training for the training purpose. This is about the brief profile. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Vasamurthy.
We welcome you, sir. Now you can take up your section, sir. You can start your session.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Thank you, sir.
So we'll start with the session. A very good morning to all the participants. First of all, I would like to thank VELAMMAL Institute of Technology, Chennai, for inviting me to be a part of this program. I also congratulate them to be working in this new area that is OBE, and a part of it, very important part of it is evaluation and pedagogy. So I have been asked to talk to you on developing a evaluation plan in OBE environment. So to the participants, I want to make a request that if you have any questions, please do write them in the chat box, because you may not be allowed to speak by the organizer, by the manager of the session. You please write in the chat box. I will visit the chat box in between or at the end of the session, and I'll try to clarify all your queries. Whatever you want to ask about outcome-based education, I should be able to talk to you. I should be able to clarify what you want. So I'll start this session. I'll start sharing my screen. Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So the topic I want to talk to you is on development of assessment plan in outcome-based education environment. Now for
Sir, can you put it in a slideshow, sir?
yeah, I'll so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I have to shift it somewhere. Okay. Before I come to development of assessment plan, I will like to present few slides on outcome-based education. What is different in outcome-based education, which we do not have in the current system, or the system we are following, or we were following, because we are supposed to be following now the outcome-based education system. What is this outcome-based? Outcome-based education means clearly focusing and organizing everything in an educational system around what is essential for all students to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. That means we are talking about a system where we try to organize all our activities inside the institution, outside the organization, in such a way that the focus is on learning capabilities of the students. So for that, what we do, we first identify. We must identify what a student will be able to do after passing a particular program. Learning experience is basically, we call it as a program. It may be a diploma, it may be a UG program, it may be a PG program, it may be a certificate program, ITI program. The idea is that we will first decide what this fellows or these students who are entering your UG program or PG programs or diploma programs, what capabilities you will have, they will have. Can you put your mics on mute, all of you, please, because it disturbs the class otherwise. So we have to decide what we want to do, what capabilities we want to develop in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Fortunately, in outcome-based education, it not in India only, not in your organization, not in my organization, all through the world, people are shifting towards outcome-based education, where the expected learning outcomes from the students after passing through the program are listed first. They are known. They are known to the teacher. They are known to the students. They are known to everybody. That means the students know what is expected out of them. The students know that they will be required to provide solutions to complex engineering problems after end of 4 years, right? So when the students know that they will be tested on this, when the students know they will get the jobs based on this aspect, these program outcomes, what we call it as, or the learning experiences, then they will prepare for it. The teacher knows what is expected of the students at the end of the program. Program means 4 years or 3 years program what we have. Now, those who have gone for National Board of Accreditation NBA certification, they know that NBA has given 12 outcomes for the UG programs and 7 outcomes for the diploma programs. If you know it, what your student will be required to do, on what the industry will ask him the questions, on what the industry wants them to perform, then we will prepare them. We will prepare them for that purpose. So if you see the first lines, outcome-based education means clearly focusing and organizing everything in the institute. What is everything? That will come. Organizing everything, that means all activities in an educational system around what is essential for all students to be able to successfully, do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. That means we have to first list down. So how do we do that? We find out, we discuss with the stakeholders, we discuss with the employees, we discuss with the society, we discuss with the students, we discuss with the alumni, all stakeholders, we discuss them what is essentially required. It is not only technical skills, it is other life skills also we want to include. Now, when we are talking about outcome-based education, that means there is something else also. The system which we are still following, actually, we may be saying that we are following outcome-based education, but in practice, you may be actually following the other system, old system, which we used to call it as input-output based system. What is that input-output based system? That the focus in that was on the teacher, what the teacher is teaching. That means we were more concerned in giving the inputs to the students. Whereas that means this, what the teacher will do, because he has been handed over a booklet which says that in strength of materials, let's say in mechanical or in C programming, he has to take 2 lectures and 4 practical sessions every week. So he religiously, he very honestly takes the lectures and he finishes the syllabus also. But the concentration has been on, the focus has been on the teacher covering the syllabus. Whether the students, what the students are learning, we have never bothered. So since that program, that system of input or the teacher-based education had issues, so these people shifted to outcome-based education, where the focus is the student. So if you go to the second paragraph, this means starting with a clear picture of what is important for all students to be able to do. What do we want all the students to be able to do? That we are defining in the form of outcomes. Then organizing curriculum, we make the curriculum accordingly to meet the outcomes. We organize, change our instruction methods, teaching and learning activity. And once we have done that, we change our assessment method also. You see, we decide that my student will have such and such outcomes, right? My student will be able to do such and such things when he passes out after 4 years. from my college. We have written this, that he'll be able to give complex solutions. He'll be able to work in teams. He will be able to present a report, right? He will care about the financial aspects. If you have seen those 12 outcomes, program outcomes, you will appreciate that. So we have defined the outcomes. Then to meet those outcomes, we have designed the curriculum also, right? Then we have taught them also, teaching learning process also. Now the outcomes were defined, curriculum was designed accordingly, students were given inputs accordingly. Now whether they have learned or not, that will come through assessment, right? So we have to assess them. We should have a assessment system which will assess them whether they have learned or they have come to a stage where we can say that my students are able to do what we intended to do. And I have put it in red, all students be able to do. It is not one or two students. One or two students or few students will do whatever you want, whatever is written in the program outcomes, even without coming to the college. What we want, all students, they should be able to do. Now, outcome-based education operates on what do you want the students to learn? That means we should know, and why do you want them to learn it? Why the students should learn mathematics? Why a mechanical engineering student should learn mathematics? We have to tell, we have to decide whether he should learn or not, or to what depth he should learn. How can you best help students who learn it? What methods, what mechanisms, how much theory, how much practical we should have it, so that the students are to the level what we want. How will you know what they have learned? How will you test? What will be the evaluation mechanism to know that the student, that you test them to assess whether they have learned the required outcomes or not, right? So what OBE does? OBE defines the program outcomes clearly. That means what I expect the students to learn when he passes out, when he goes out of the institute. Provides learning activities to achieve the POs. That means we will provide the activities, we will do the teaching learning process, we will have the practical classes, we have the project work, so that we are able to achieve the program outcomes. Then we have to assess the outcomes. Assessing is not for passing or failing the students, no. To see how much they have learned and where they are lacking. Then continuous improvement is very important part of the outcome-based education, where you set the targets that my students will learn this, then assess it, then compare the outcomes, how much they have learned with my targets. And if the targets are not met, I analyze my processes, I analyze my curriculum, I analyze my teaching learning process, I might analyze my assessment method and make the changes wherever required. Not to pass the students, but to make sure that the students will learn or they will attain the required inputs. Yeah, if you maybe you have some of maybe have you have gone through this, but in outcome-based education, we start from the vision mission of the institution. Vision is what I want to be, what I want my institution to be in a long run, maybe 10 years, 15 years, henceforth. Mission is how do we achieve that vision? I want to be a preferred institution in the area, in the region, let's say. How will I do it? What are the steps I will take? That is the mission. Program educational objectives are where I want to see my students after 4 or 5 years of passing out. Because when they pass out from your college, the students may be working, they may be employed in a particular narrow area. But I want my students should expand. They should work in interdisciplinary areas. So that also has to be clear to me. Then program outcomes. Program outcomes are what my students will be able to do after 4 years in UG programs, after 2 years in diploma programs. That means what my students will be able to do, what capabilities they will have, that is program outcomes. And then course outcomes, we are teaching 35, 40 subjects. Why are we teaching? That means for each subject which you are teaching, that is called course. For each subject which you are teaching, what the student will be able to do immediately after the end of the semester if you are teaching a subject. I am teaching C programming my students. What my students will be able to do after going through that C programming course. If you see, there are two sets of arrows. One set is going from top to bottom. Second set is going from bottom to top. The set of arrows which is coming from top to bottom, that shows that we will first define vision and mission, then define program educational objectives, then program outcomes, and then course outcomes. That means when we want to define all these things, vision, mission, PEOs, POs, and COs, it is top to bottom. Wherever, when we want to see the attainment, measurement of what we have achieved, that is from top to bottom, from bottom to top. That means first we will see how much course outcomes have been achieved, right? In C programming, I wanted that the students should be able to write a program to solve a complex engineering problem. So if they have achieved, so maybe part of the program outcomes have been achieved, then program outcome achievement will contribute to achievement of PEOs, then PEOs and program outcomes combined will contribute to the achievement of vision and mission. I will not go into details of vision and mission, program education objectives, program outcomes, and course outcomes. I'll come to my topic. Now, what is different in OBE from the teacher-centered or input-based system to student-centered system? What I feel is that curriculum should be different, not the content, how you write the curriculum, right? That should be different. Content may be same, but content may also change. Teaching learning approach, teaching learning method should change. Assessment and evaluation. We have to have a well-defined assessment and evaluation system and continuous improvement. There is an element of continuous improvement. That means you will analyze the results and see where I can make the improvements. Curriculum in OBE is basically based on the POs, program outcomes. That means program outcomes we have defined what my students will be able to do after going through the program for 4 years or 3 years, for 2 years. I have defined to meet those POs, what is to be taught to the students, right? You see, this will remain, let's say whether you are making a UG program or a PG program, this curriculum design process will remain the same. It is based on POs. But many of you will agree that curriculum, the type of subjects for diploma and UG programs are same. But diploma is 3 years after 10th class and degree is 4 years after 10 plus 2 class. Subjects are same, almost same. Where do we vary? Where do we differ? Where is the difference? that is in the depth of the subject, what we are teaching, right? So curriculum design is based on POs. There is active involvement of the stakeholders, all stakeholders. Content is not static, content is dynamic. That means you keep on changing the content based on the requirements of the system. Which system? Employment system, where the student has to contribute. I'm not saying that you will change the whole syllabus. Maybe 80% of the content is remaining same. You cannot change the basics of the engineering, but maybe another 10-20% you can have the flexibility of changing maybe every year. There is industry involvement is there in the design of the curriculum and implementation of the program. Course outcomes are defined for each course. Why I should study, I will say from student point of view, why a student should study a particular subject. There is a lot of resistance from, let's say, mechanical engineering students say we don't want to study mathematics. But we have to tell what they will be able to do, or if they don't study mathematics subject, what they will miss, what capabilities they will not dwell. Then practical tasks, well-defined practical tasks. We have to write why that practical, what is the outcome, what he learn, right? What he will learn by doing this practical task. Teaching learning process. What will be different in teaching learning process? The teachers will be autonomous in conduct of classes and assessment. That means it is not that somebody else will be setting the question papers. I am teaching, you are teaching, so you will set the question paper also. You will evaluate the answer sheets also. So we will have empowered and responsible teachers. I have very clearly written, we had the teachers will be responsible also. It is not casual. Flexible teaching learning processes. It is up to the teacher how he wants to do it. Whether he wants to use chalk and board, whether he wants to use a PowerPoint presentation, whether he wants to embed a IT process into it, right? I want to show a IC engine working, so I can always embed a simulation in my lecture. The teachers will focus on development of knowledge, skill, and attitude in the students. Teachers' role will be more as a team member, leader rather than individual. Continuous record keeping and mentoring of the students will be required. Bloom's taxonomy is used extensively in planning of teaching and learning activities. Bloom's taxonomy is one thing which we all teachers, we as teachers, we should know what Bloom's taxonomy is, how to plan my activities, how to plan my question paper, how to write my questions, how to plan my teaching learning, how to plan my practical classes, what I want to teach the students. So Bloom's taxonomy, if somebody has not gone through, I'll request that people should go through the Bloom's taxonomy. The teachers, as I said, will be different. Empower teachers with autonomy in delivery of courses and assessment, variety of teaching learning approaches, focus on development of knowledge, skills, and attitude in students, formative criteria reference assessment. We will come to it, what is criteria reference, but format is what we know is continuous assessment. So continuous assessment, if you have studied the National Education Policy 2020, there's a lot of stress on continuous formative assessment in that. The end term, end semester examination, where we are now focusing more, will be given a lesser weightage in the system, in OBE as well as in NEP 2020. Work done, work more as a member, okay, continuous record keeping. Then it is not only that the students are expected to play, only the teachers are required to work in a different way. The students will also have to contribute more. They will have to be proactive students. That means they should take active part in teaching learning activities. Maybe it is like it is like a flipped classroom where the students will come ready with they'll read at their places and the teacher will only discuss their problems. So we will have proactive students. Students will do assignments seriously. It is not only copying from each other. But when we want that the student will do assignments seriously, we will have to make assignments. We will have to make innovative, nice assignments as teachers. And innovative project work. Project work is one thing, single thing, which was probably planned to allow the students to apply whatever they have learned. But project work and practical classes, lab classes are being neglected by all engineering colleges and diploma colleges. So if we want to see the application of what has been taught to the students, we will have to have innovative projects. They will not copy, they will not purchase the ready-made projects from the market. And we as teachers, we have to be serious about this. Now coming to what is assessment and evaluation. Assessment and evaluation we have been using as interchangeably, right? We don't differentiate between assessment and evaluation, but in fact, these are two different terms. They have distinct meanings. When we say we are doing assessment, assessment is the systematic process of documenting and using empirical data to measure knowledge, skills, attitudes, and beliefs. That means here we have the measurement criteria only, that we will say, okay, he is up to this level, he is up to this level, he knows 20%, the second student knows 30%. And maybe in the process of assessing, we are trying to note down where we have to give more inputs to particular students. If the student is at the 20%, whereas we wanted him to 70%, at 70%, what more needs to be done? So assessment is only collecting the data and documenting it. Whereas evaluation is when you start grading them. When we say pass fail, when we say he is okay, he is not okay. So evaluation focuses on grades and might reflect classroom components other than course content and mastery level. And in evaluation, you try to give the judgment that okay, 60 this fellow is getting 80% marks and he is in grade A. This is such students is going into grade C. Both require criteria. Against some criteria you are testing. Even assessment also you are doing against some criteria. Use measures, some measurement tools, and are evidence driven. Right? You need to have evidence to show whether the student have, or the student need to have a portfolio evidence to show that they have reached that level. And when I assess them, I should have also a reason to say that the particular student has not reached that level. Assessment involves the interpretation of measurement data. It makes sense of the data collected on students' performance. This is one definition. Assessment is the process whereby one attempts to measure the quality and quantity of learning and teaching using various assessment techniques. So just see the second definition. Assessment is the process whereby one attempts to measure the quality and quantity of learning and teaching and quality of learning and teaching using various assessment techniques. That means in assessment, we are just seeing whether the person has reached that level or not. We are not saying that he has failed. In assessment, we will not say. We just collect the data. We are bothered about whether what level he has reached. Whereas in evaluation, A systematic process of determining what the actual outcomes are, but it also involves judgment of desirability of whatever outcomes are demonstrated. The process of delineating, obtaining and providing useful information for judging decision alternatives. Basically, when we make the result that okay, 10% have failed, that is evaluation. When we try to put the students into grade, that's evaluation. But when we have the data only with you and the data we can use for further improvements, that is assessment. Evaluation will be when you give a decision. Now, what is the assessment plan? What is the assessment plan? Assessment plan is a document that gives what? That gives student learning outcomes or department goals to be assessed during that academic year or learning experience, or maybe a semester, right? What outcomes we want to see? It may be program outcomes, it may be course outcomes. The assessment can be at the course level, it can be at the program level, it can be at the student level also. Direct and indirect assessment method used to demonstrate the attainment of each outcome or goal. As I said, we have program outcomes, we have course outcomes, and in OBE environment, it is not only the classroom test or performance. It is the indirect assessment also. You try to, let's say you want to make the assessment about the program in mechanical engineering. You talk to the people, you talk to the industry where your students have been employed, right? So you see what is missing or how they are performing or what the industry expects from the students. Brief explanation of assessment methods, including the sources of data. Brief explanation of assessment methods means how we will assess the students. There are two basically factors. One is called macro assessment. Second is micro planning for assessment. Macro will be done at the university level or at the institute level, that okay, we will have, let's say there are 100 marks, 50% will go to formative and 50% will go to summative assessment. In the formative assessment, then you again divide that I will have 2 class tests, I will have seminar, I will have assignments, whatever you do. So what assessment methods? And for assessing each course outcome, as I said, you will have course outcomes for each course. You will have for each course outcome, we will write what type of questions I will have. Do I have a descriptive type of question? Do I have objective question? Do I have fill in the blank question? Do I have alternate? There are alternate methods, alternate answers, right and wrong. Whatever questions we will have. Indication of which outcomes or goals are addressed by each method. We will say, okay, I am having group discussion, but group discussion is testing my students' ability to communicate. Group discussion is testing my students to communicate to what level they can contribute in the technical domain. Group discussion will show you whether the students can come out as good leaders. Project work will tell you whether the students have developed the capability to work in groups as team leaders, or as team members. And the assessment plan will also have the timelines when you will collect the data. Collect the data means when you will conduct the test, right? Let's say in theory classes, we say, okay, we will conduct the test in after 1.5 months of the starting classes. Second test will be after 2.5 months of class starting the classes, and maybe another test after three months of the starting the classes. In case of practicals, maybe every week you have the test. You perform the practical today, and next time when the students come, you check their notebooks and test them also, ask them questions also. Individuals responsible for the collection and review of data. Who will do that? Who will conduct the test? Who will take the viva voce? And who will review that data? Is the teacher himself who will review, or there is a committee for reviewing the data? The assessment plan which you are preparing, that should answer how will the learning outcomes be established. That means learning outcomes, we have written some learning outcomes. We have written the program outcomes as well as the course outcomes. Well, we have made an assessment plan. You see, you ask a question to the students, who is the father of computer, or who developed the, let's say, electrical bulb. Now, by asking the name, what are we trying to establish? Name of the inventor. What technical aspects you are doing? We are trying actually to test the remembering power, that he remembers the name of the person, that Edison was the person. But actually, why I should be asking some better questions, right? What are the outcomes? What would be an ideal student be able to do or value? That means, you see, we started from outcomes. Again, from the assessment plan, we are trying to find out what outcomes your assessment plan is addressing. What measure will be used with each outcome. That means I want, one is, let's say I want that the student should be able to design a solution. Let's say I am teaching air conditioning. So I want that after going through that air conditioning course, my students will be able to, let's say, design an air conditioning system for a given situation. So that means this is a designing a solution for given engineering problem. But that means there the measurement system will be, I will give them a problem and each student will solve. But when I want to measure the capability to be a member of the team or team leader, then I need to give them a team assignment, group assignment, or I will see them on by giving a group task. So I need to see against what outcomes, what type of tasks I will give to the students. How will be the results reviewed and decision made? What will be my criteria? Do I have some rubrics? Do I have some cutoffs that if the student is able to do such and such, let's say you are designing something, if a student is able to write the formula or he knows the properties of the material, okay, he has learned this much. If he is able to apply the correct formula, he has learned this much. So how will you do? How will you review the results, or how will you make a decision that the students have learned something or not, desired output or not? What is the timeline for implementing the plan? What are we talking? Are we talking about one semester? Are we talking about 1 year? Or are we talking about 4 years of degree program? What technical assistance may be needed? Do I need, because I need maybe I want to analyze these results, maybe I need a computer program for that. Or I need some other assistance. I need such and such assistance in the lab. I want some equipment in the lab. So what type of technical assistance will be needed? I cannot test 60 students at a time. maybe I need a person who will assist me in this testing the system. So what is an effective assessment plan? It will start with the department's mission statement, because mission statement says how we will use the, how we will attain the vision of the department or the vision of the program. Be built upon the program outcomes. As I said, we write the program outcomes, what my student will be able to do after going through the program. Involve more than one type of measure. It is not only a question paper. It is not only a continuous assessment question paper or what we call a sessional paper. No, something else also. You give them tasks, you give them seminars, you give them assignments. Be developed and carried out by the program faculty, right? Very important. Who will develop this? Program faculty. That means the faculty who is teaching that program. They are the best persons. They are the persons working at the root level, grassroots level. Okay, they will know what is the what type of question they should have, what sort of strategies they should have, and how they will contribute to the attainment of the POs. Address the real questions and concern faculty may have about student learning in their program. There will be few people, there will be faculty members who will have doubts. They will have the concern that why are we teaching this? Why this program learning outcome? Why my student will do that? Or they may not be clear about the outcomes. So the senior faculty has the responsibility of telling them that this is required. I need mathematics to be taught to the mechanical engineering students because they have to work in engineering design. These mechanical engineering students should learn chemistry also, because in engineering materials, they will not be able to move without chemistry. Be used to improve student learning, not merely satisfying a requirement. The program faculty must assess students during the program. Now, last point is very important. It is not an activity which should be done because your dean or your head of the department has told that you will make an assessment, you will have a sessional test, you will evaluate and give the marks. No. Idea is that my student should learn. My student should learn. Especially when we are talking about summative formative assessment. Formative assessment is not for testing the students, not for grading the students. No, it is to see where the students have reached, what they have learned, what more needs to be taught, where they're lacking, whether the teacher who is teaching, he is effective in teaching, where he wants to make the changes. So all that it will come from the assessment only. So if you want to compare the process for assessment and evaluation, if you see the process, collecting, reviewing and using data for the purpose of improvement in current performance, it is not for rating the students. Evaluation is act of passing judgment on the basis of set of standards. We have set the standard that if somebody is not getting 40% marks, we say is fail, right? So evaluation will do that, whereas assessment will do other things, basic aim being to improvement of the performance of the student as well as the teacher. Nature, as I said, it is diagnostic and evaluation is judgmental. It gives a judgment, right? What it does, it provides information about the performance and areas of improvement. Whereas Evaluation determines the extent to which objectives are achieved. It is a final thing, whether the students have achieved or not. Purpose assessment is basically formative. Of course, evaluation will come only at the summative ending when we want to give a decision. And orientation is, it is a process orient. In assessment, we want to see the process. And
good example, like the Coca-Cola, they still keep maintaining the.
And evaluation is product oriented. Whether we are trying to say that the student has learned or not learned. We say, okay, he needs to do something more. Whereas in process, we say, okay, the idea is similar, but here in the assessment part, we say this is something which we need for improving the performance of the student. Whereas in evaluation, we say that he has learned or not learned. Feedback based on observation of positive and negative points based on the level of quality as per set standards. Assessment in OBE, in outcome-based education. Assessment and evaluation program level and course level. That means it can be at the course level or it can be at the program level. You know what is program and what is course. Course level, desired course outcomes are defined for each course. Assessment method is also identified for each course. That means when you write the CO, course outcome, you against that you write how will you test it, right? I want that the student, let's say I'm teaching C programming. I want that the student should be able to debug a program. Now, instead of giving them a question to write, that how will you debug a program, I can give them a program which is not working properly, and the students can do practically how to remove the bugs from the program. So I will write that, okay, I will give the faulty program and the students will be asked to debug it so that this program starts giving the desired output. Attainment level decided for each CO. What level? They should be experts or they should be just able to do something at the initial level. That means we can have rubrics. Rubrics may be excellent, very good, good, average, or needs improvement. Assessment rubric can be used for assessment of each CO. Course attainment assessment based on attainment of COs. That means once the all the COs have been attained, that means the course also attainment has also been achieved. You see, course will be achieved through a set of COs only. If I say my students will be able to write a program, let's say I was talking about air conditioning. If I say that my students will be able to select a proper type of air conditioner after going to this program, if I give them a problem based on different situations, if they are able to do it, that means I am happy that the COs have been attained and what I wanted to teach them through this course on air conditioning, that also has been attained. Program level assessment, program outcomes, I said POs are written, and in addition you have PSOs, program specific outcomes are defined and are known to the teachers and students. The beauty of outcome based education is it is what the student is required to do, it is known to the student. On what he will be tested, it is known to the students. On what is required from the student, it is known to the teacher also. On what the student has to be tested, it is known to the teacher also. It is based on the attainment of program level outcomes. There are, as I said, POs, 12 POs are there. Attainment of POs are evaluated based on the course outcomes attainments, because the program level outcomes or POs are basically attained through the attainment of COs, course outcomes. So there is no direct method of calculating the program outcome attainment. It has to be, first what we do is we map that, okay, this program, this CO or the course will contribute to this PO. Then against that only we test whether it has contributed to that level or not. Normally what we say is, we say it can contribute very effectively, moderately, or low contribution. That means it can be 3 to 1. Program outcome represent the knowledge, skills, and attitude of the student should have at the end of 4 years of engineering program in India. Course outcomes are the resultant knowledge, skills the student acquires at the end of the course. As I said, POs are defined by NBA and COs are defined by the subject teacher or teachers. Now, while defining the COs, assessment methods for assessing the attainment of the COs is also decided. As I said, when you write the CO, you write the assessment method also. Now, various methods of assessment of CO are, how do we do? We have a descriptive question, right? We say essay type question. But from essay type question, we don't get much information. Short answer questions, right? That practice is there. You see, we have to see this. Okay. Multiple choice questions, MCQs, we say, we give 3-4 answers and we say select the correct answers. Matching, that means we give 2 sets. We want them to match to the proper from column A and column B. Completion type, that means we give, sometimes we give half the sentence, we give part of it, and the students are requested to complete it. Quiz we can have the quiz with the students, and we can have questions on problem solving where the students are given specific problems and they are able to they are asked to solve it, or they are asked to perform some experiment, some exercise on performance. So these are the various methods of assessment of COs. That means when I write a CO, I will write that one of these assessment methods, I will say that, okay, against this I will give a descriptive questions. Against this I will give a problem solving. Against a practical task, I will tell him to perform the practical. Now just coming to how outcome-based education, assessment in outcome-based education is different. Emphasis is on outputs or the end product. We are concerned about what the student has learned, right? Outcome-based assessment emphasizes the assessment of student outputs or the end products as opposed to lecturer inputs. We are not concerned, we are not much concerned about what the teacher has taught. What we are concerned about, what the student has learned, what the student is able to do. Knowledge or content of the course is no longer the principal focus, but instead the focus is on the application of that knowledge. Just see, it is now applied, which should have been earlier also. The focus is on the application of that knowledge and the demonstration of the required skills and the values within specific contexts. It is not open. We have some constraints also, some boundaries also. It is restricted to specific contexts only. When I am teaching mechanical engineering, probably I may not go to biology. These outcomes have to be explicit to ensure that learning clearly understand, that learners can clearly understand what is being assessed and what is to be achieved. That means you don't write vague things. We write very explicit things, that I will ask for a design of a riveted joint. right? Outcome-based assessment is criteria-based as opposed to norm-based. Now, what is that? We have been doing that 40% pass, 50% second division, 60% first division. But here it is criteria-based. Criteria is COs. COs are the criteria. Program outcome is the criteria. Whether they have been able to achieve that program outcomes or course outcomes, that is the criteria. We will test the students against the POs and COs, not against the marks. The idea is that the students should learn. All the students should learn. It is a, as I said, it is a criteria referenced. Okay, I'll move this. There has been a complete shift away from the tendency to use a normal curve as the basis for making decisions about individual performance. You see, you are, because we are all teachers, you must be knowing that a normal curve has been extensively used. That means if you say that if some students are, let's say your mean is, let's say 70, if some students are getting 80%, some students should get 60% also. If some students are getting 95%, some students should get maybe 55% also. That means we work on standard deviation. Now in this outcome-based education, we are not using that criteria. That means we will not use a normal distribution. We will say if somebody is getting A grade, same number of persons should get E grade also or F grade also. We are saying everybody should get the grade. Everybody can be excellent. Everybody can get A grade. So because we want all the students to be of the highest level. In contrast to norm reference testing, which is designed for the purpose of comparing students, because in norm based, in marks based thing, we are trying to compare the students with one another. We say, okay, this is 70%, this is 60%, this is 90%, this is 45%. Criteria reference assessment is a form of assessment in which judgments are made about learners by measuring their work against set criteria that are independent of the work of other learners. When I am testing a person A, I am concerned with person A only. I don't say that B is doing much better or C is doing better than A. But I am concerned with student A only, whether he can perform the given task or not, whether he has achieved the given PO or not. Even if grades are given, because grade may be required, learners' achievement are graded in terms of whether they have satisfied the criteria for assessment. That means if you see that there are few assessment strategies where they write at the back of the evaluation certificate, they will say the student can do this. That means these are the capabilities of the student. So if you can write the capabilities, that these are the capabilities of the student, which what he can do, then it helps the employer to recruit that person, because if the attainments are matching, then it is easier for this employer to decide whether he wants to take them or not. Criteria are specified in terms of outcomes set for a course, right? That means criteria are POs and COs only. By putting in time and effort at the beginning of the course, that means at the beginning of this course, we are trying to define the POs and COs, reflecting on and specifying criteria and communicated these clearly to the students. One is in a better position to facilitate learning by giving learners feedback on the extent they have or have not met these criteria. That means the criteria is known to the students, criteria is known to the teacher also. So teacher will work towards the students attaining that criteria, learning that criteria, achieving that criteria, or if they have not learned, taking the corrective action. the teacher will take the corrective action also. Outcome-based assessment is continuous. It is not that we will test them at the end of the semester and
Sir,
give them
one
grades.
second.
Yeah.
Pabla, sir, one of the professor has raised the question.
Pardon?
One participant has raised his hand for some question, I think.
Okay, so can he write in this chat?
Yes, I will make it out, sir. I will inform him.
Okay, there are the questions. Are the summative assessment and evaluation same? Now, summative assessment is basically country for evaluating the students, right? Summative is at the end of the semester or at the end of the year, right? Mr. Dekekar, you can ask question, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, my question is related to COs.
Yeah.
Suppose two faculty are teaching same subject, so CO should be same or different?
Mr. Dekekar, the COs are for the course, not for the teacher. Okay. The COs will be same. The way you want to teach it, the students to attain it, want to make the students attain the COs, the method can be different for the teacher. But COs should largely be same.
We have the university pattern.
Yeah.
And university already defined the COs. So it is difficult to match with the POs. So can we change the COs?
Dr. Dekekar,
in tier 2.
You see, I am listening. I understand what you are saying now. When the university has made the curriculum, now they would have made the COs and POs. POs are already given, okay, COs. By involving some experienced persons in writing the COs. Either the university should conduct a workshop to make the COs clear to all the people who are teaching, or you can add one or two COs from your end so that your work becomes simpler.
So teachers' autonomy you talk.
Pardon?
Teachers' autonomy you talk. So teachers can change the COs. Individual COs can set.
It is basically the teachers should make, but since you are following the same curriculum, all the university colleges are making the same curriculum. So it has to be because if I am teaching mathematics to mechanical engineering students, the aim will be same, right? You cannot have a different. The only thing is you can add one or two COs. That is also that it is easier for you to map.
Okay, sir.
Muthu Kumar, how can we evaluate the model making activity of students in engineering drawing? Model making activity is based by performance only. You see what you are talking about CAD models, Mr. Muthu Kumar?
Yes, sir. No, sir. It is actually the physical model.
Physical models.
Yeah.
It is something. It is performance.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Performance. How much weightage we can give for those things?
It is performance because you are giving the actual task to them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any other question, please? Because now we have broken from the lecture. So, any other questions you have, please ask.
It should be the model making activity should be the individual or group, sir. How we can conduct?
Depends what you are giving. If it is a small model, it can be a group activity also because that tests many other aspects also. Team building, team member, team leader, everything it tests.
Yes.
Anyway, because we have broken, so I'll a little bit deviate from what I am talking. We had an international team for evaluating for because we are a member of the Washington Accord. India has through NBA.
Okay.
We had an international team
Yes, sir.
which evaluated the continuation of Washington Accord membership in September 2019, and fortunately I was a member of the Indian side in that team because there was a 3-member team. What they were saying is that, you see, they were watching, they were not doing evaluation. Let's say I was an evaluator, I was doing, they were watching how I am doing it. They were very happy. What they pointed out is that what your students are good, but they are not doing any complex problem solving activity. So now this has nothing to do with my today's lecture, but indirectly it has a connection also, because when we are making the questions, we are making the assessment plan, we should include complex problem solving activities. What is a complex problem? Complex problem is a problem which doesn't have ready-made solution.
Okay.
Right? Which has earlier probably not been solved. It cannot be solved based on the BIS codes, where there are alternative solutions and the students have to think about it. Okay. Okay, so shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we will go ahead.
Yeah. I'll be happy if you have hundreds of questions. Okay. In contrast to continual assessment, in which one merely assesses repeatedly, continuous assessment makes use of a variety of assessment practices during a course or module with the intention of understanding where the learner is, because we have to, you see, continuous assessment is basically like making a vegetable in your home or making tea in your home. When you make tea, you put the tea leaves, you put some sweetener also. After putting the sweetener, you test it, whether it is tasting to the, it has got the sweetness to the required level. If it is not to the required level, then you put more sugar. So same should be with the continuous assessment or formative assessment. You test the students, see the level, and see what inputs, more inputs you want. From student point of view and from teacher point of view also. What do you want? Right? So feedback from assessment enables the lecturer involved to provide as much guidance to the learners as possible. That is what I said. This feedback guides learners on their strengths and weaknesses and advises them on how to progress. To the learners also, it tells them what are their strengths and weaknesses and advises them on how to progress. This kind of assessment need not be formal. It can be informal assessment also. Its intention is to inform the students on the success of their learning so far. Last time I gave this lecture of a little different versus Murthy told me that it was too lengthy, so I'll stop when you say. Outcome-based assessment is used for formative and summative purposes. Outcome-based assessment makes sure use of both formative and summative assessment. As I said earlier, formative assessment is used to chart the learner's progress. Formative is continuous assessment is learner's progress as he or she works toward achieving the specific outcomes to become competent. If the students have not met the criteria, they will not be competent yet, and the onus would be on the assessors to specify what learners have to do in order to meet the criteria and become competent. We will not write not competent just now. No. What are the improvements required? That also I have to give. Summative assessment is formal assessment that is administered at the end of the learning program. That means at the end of the semester or at the end of the year or at the end of 4 years also. Judgments are made with reference to the criteria set for the assessment task. That means we will assess, we will make the rubrics at the beginning itself that if the student is to this level, I will say he is excellent. If it is the little lesser, which I will define in the initial stage only, then I will say it is very good. Outcome-based assessment is concerned with the issues of reliability and fairness. Reliability refers to consistency of measurement. Outcome-based assessment is conducive to reliability in that specific outcomes and criteria are the basis upon which assessment is planned and administered. That means it is not left to the evaluator what to ask. It is known to him what he is to test. They are constant regardless of who is assessing. If I go for assessment, I will also assess the same thing. If you go for assessment, you will also assess the same thing. And who is the students being assessed? Because I am assessing the student against a particular competency. So whether student A is sitting or student B is sitting or evaluator X is there or evaluator Y is there, the same type of assessment will be there. Laying down these specifications makes it necessary for the assessor to use them as guide in planning, developing and administering assessment because they are specific, known and clearly understood by all. They act as an inbuilt mechanism against assessor inconsistency because assessor, otherwise what will say, the assessor will normally what happens, the assessor will ask what he knows. It is not that way. The assessor should ask to know what the student knows, what the assessee knows, and assist with the transparency of assessment and description of standards. In assessment, we say it should be a valid assessment. Valid means if I assess or you assess or third person assess, the result should be same. Okay. Assessment method and criteria have to match what is to be assessed. Judgments are results showing measurement outside of what is stated are viewed as invalid. Very, very good example, which we are also doing. For example, the use of correct grammar is often used as a criteria when assessing judgment. If this criteria was not mentioned, if we had not told the student that you have to write in correct English, then it would be not valid to take this factor into account when assessing student assignments. That means we should be more concerned whether he has done the work or not, instead of finding grammatical mistakes. Although I also do it, you also do it, that with the language should also be correct, but we should tell them in the beginning that you should write correct grammatical sentences while presenting your report. The purpose of integrated assessment is to provide evidence the purpose of a course module as a whole have been achieved, that the purposes of a course or module has been achieved. It makes use of range of formative and summative assessment methods to enable the learners to demonstrate applied competence. I have discussed all this. Integrated assessment can cover foundation as well practical and reflective competence while attempting to bring the overall purpose of qualification under scrutiny. That means we are more concerned in the students achieving the overall goals of the program, which we set earlier, which we set in the beginning. The learner should be provided with a variety of contacts in which to display their knowledge, since one-off written examination doesn't provide the assessment skills that are not suited to that mode of assessment. That means we give a question paper and say, okay, you are pass, you are fail. They say no. We should have alternate methods of, we should give alternate chance methods. The student should be allowed to use alternate methods of proving his competency, that he can do it. He may not be able to write it, but writing is a competency. If I want, then he is to write. If I want that he should be able to do it, he should be able to perform the function. He should be asked to perform only, no, not in a paper pen mode. He should be asked to perform the task. So I think I will not go into this. How to construct a criteria? Criteria reference means what we have in OBE. A criteria reference marking plan is a detailed matrix specifying what is required for the completion of a task. Detailed descriptions are given of the various aspects of task which are considered relevant. That means we will write detailed thing that he should be able to do. It is not that he should make the car run. No. What else? In stages, you have to have a assessment plan. You have to have an evaluation sheet also. These are further defined in terms of what would need to be included if the tasks are complete at a highly competent or less competent. As I said, we need to have a rubrics. The purpose of constructing a criteria reference marking guide is to be explicit with the students as the requirement of a task. We should very clearly tell that what you will require to do this. Setting up such a guide also has implications for intra as well as inter-marker. Reliability has improved, consistency is assured, that we have talked. Validity is also increased as there is a clarity as to what is being assessed and more specifically what is required for students to achieve the different marks. Okay, this is the criteria you can see. Begin with your outcomes. Design your assessment tasks. Identify appropriate sections of the assessment tasks. Set criteria statements. That means when will I say that he is excellent, he is good, he is very good. So this is actually repetition of what I have been telling you. With this, I again come to the open session. That means you can have your questions. I will try to answer.